When I became artistic director of English National Ballet, one of the first things I wanted to achieve was to have more female voices represented on the stage, to give more opportunity to female choreographers. One of the first programs that we designed for that was called She Said, and for that we commissioned 3 new pieces of work by the choreographers Annabelle Lopez Ochoa, Yabing Wan and Ashur Barton. Since then, we have commissioned a new work by the choreographer Stina Quagebeur called Nora, which will be part of a new program of female choreography called She Persisted. We will present this new program later this season at Saldes Wells, together with the Rite of Spring by Pina Bausch. One of the reasons that motivated me to commission these works by female choreographers was that in my whole professional career, I had never been part of a commission by a female choreographer in any of the companies that I had worked with. And I thought that was rather strange. I thought that was also unfair. And I wanted to bring some balance to the kind of voices that are represented on the stage. I have always admired Pina Bausch's work. I think it is extraordinary. And for me, those works are very important, that they become part of the repertoire of the main ballet companies to ensure that they last through the decades and that they are never lost.
It's a very specific process that you have to go through. It's getting rid of everything that you already know and trying to adapt to these new movements. It's a very spiritual piece, actually. Pina's pieces are more than just learning a choreography, it's also putting part of yourself into the dance. I think the Rite of Spring brought out a lot of passion. I definitely lose myself every time I do that piece.
All 3 dancers performing the main role in the Rite of Spring were fabulous. And Francesca, having been chosen to do the opening night, was later awarded a Laurence Olivier Award for her performances. At 18, that is just an extraordinary achievement. And I think perhaps because she was so young, she brought a vulnerability and a naivety that made it even more heartbreaking to see.
You really need to dance with all your body and pull yourself from each bit and go with the music. That, you know, Stravinsky is so hard, so strong, so powerful. I remember after every single show I used to cry backstage after I finished. For a long time I couldn't get myself into, okay, back in the real world.
Tamara is promoting female choreographers, which is fantastic. For Stina especially, she's going to be doing Nora. It's a huge opportunity for her.
Stina is an extraordinary artist. She has created really important pieces of work as a dancer. Together with Akram Khan, for example, she created the role of Mirta in Giselle. I started to see her work in our choreographic workshops, and immediately I saw that she had a very strong language and a clear ability for narrative to tell stories.
Choreography for me is something I've always loved doing. From even when I was really little, I used to go see performances in Brussels from Matt Seck, from Beja, and I was always really inspired. It wasn't just classical for me. Trying to find a language and trying to speak with that language and finding a vocabulary of movement, whether it was abstract or classical when I was younger. I've developed throughout my career, and working with Akram Khan's been a huge inspiration for me. Akram's very much somebody who explains his whole thought process. It's kind of like a constant learning curve for me. Next is Nora. Nora is a new work that I'm creating for the She Persisted triple bill in April, which is very exciting. It's my first full one-act ballet for the company, so it's a big deal for me. And it's based on Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House. And again, it will very much have the essence of A Doll's House, because I can't do a 3-act play in 25 minutes. So it'll be very much the essence of the lead character, Nora.
When I first asked Annabelle to create a piece for English National Ballet, I asked her that it would be about a strong female character. And she chose Frida Kahlo, which was of course an extraordinary artist with a very dramatic personal life. It was also fantastic because he also brought a very interesting and strong male role, which was Diego, her husband. And that gave us the opportunity to have Irek Mohamedov perform the role of Diego.
When I first get into the studio with dancers, the first thing is I try to create an atmosphere where I can play and where they can play, because only through playing we can find creativity, we can make mistakes, be silly, but also come up with great ideas. The title of the piece is Broken Wings, and the subject is Frida Kahlo. She's a Mexican painter, and she was considered as surrealist, but she always said, I don't paint dreams or surrealism, I paint my life. And I mean, I'm a big fan of surrealism, and I wasn't so much a big fan of her work until I saw the movie and read books about her. And I think she's a real trooper. She's a survivor, and she knew how to convert her pain and sorrows and drama, she's a very tragic life, into art.
I think it's fantastic to put female choreographers out there. I think especially on the ballet company, we rarely see it, and I think it's great to inspire younger people and to see what the female choreographers have to say. Favorite female choreographer for me is absolutely Crystal Pite. She is an absolute genius to me. She gets something across to the audience. It's not just an abstract work. She gets an emotion, she gets feelings across. I watch her work a lot. I think she is a huge inspiration for me.
I just see everyone as individual artists, and I don't necessarily notice a big difference in having a female or male. I just see everyone as individually different.
It's nice to connect with a choreographer that understands us. For sure, you know, a male choreographer understands every artist, but it's nice when we have a woman in there that actually goes through the same maybe feelings, the same emotions.
There have been very important female choreographers in the history of dance. One of the first ones that I think had an instrumental influence on the rest of the history of ballet was Isadora Duncan. She was an artist that created her own works, and the influence she had in ballet russe meant that the works that they were later to produce in Paris and present in Paris were very much influenced by her performances in Russia. Nijinsky is another extraordinary female choreographer that has left a very important legacy. After her, I will say Martha Graham, also a very strong woman that had a very important influence in the American contemporary scene. Pina Bausch, obviously, extraordinary choreographer with a huge legacy of work and a huge influence on the European contemporary scene. There are just so many. I feel I don't want to forget any of them. But I just hope that this new interest in female choreography means that they can be recognized by most people, and that their work is seen as part of the repertoire of every company. In our engagement programs, we have commissioned 11 pieces of work by female choreographers, as well as 2 successful films by Morgan Ranake-Temple and Jessica Wright. We have also presented new work by female choreographers each year as part of our Emerging Dancer competition, within our choreographic program, and also for our youth company, EMB Youth Co. Which means that in the last 6 years, we have presented 28 works by female choreographers across the company. I am incredibly proud of what we have achieved so far, and I am completely committed to continue to give opportunities to female choreographers at English National Ballet.